Good afternoon and welcome to the 2023 Ferris State University Football National Signing Day Press Conference. We'd like to thank those media members in attendance today and those who are tuned in around the world on the Bulldog Sports Network at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, Rob Bentley, Associate Athletic Director here at Ferris State. And welcome. We're joined today by the nation's winningest active head coach, the two-time reigning D2Football.com National Coach of the Year, Tony Annese. This past fall, Ferris State captured a second consecutive NCAA Division II Football National Championship, beating the Colorado School of Mines 41-14 in the national title game in McKinney, Texas. The Bulldogs have registered a 28-1 mark over the past 2 years, culminating in back-to-back national championships. Ferris State is also the winningest active program in Division II football over the past 8 seasons and has made 8 consecutive playoff appearances. In just a few moments, Coach Annese will make an opening statement on this year's class, and then we'll break down each member of this year's class with comments on each signee. Following our announcement today, we'll have a complete list of this year's signees and additional coverage on our Signing Day Central page at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. This time, Coach Annese will make an opening statement on the 2023 Bulldog football recruiting class.
Yeah, big day, obviously, not because it's signing day, because it's my mom's 88th birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. Love you. I hope she's watching, which I'm assuming she is watching unless my siblings didn't give her the right link. In that case, she's going to be mad. But happy birthday to my mother. Back to the recruiting class. Obviously, a lot of work going into it, really challenging. Get a late start because when you play as late as we have, it's a challenge. Some of the people are done, the second week in November and beat us by a month and a week running around recruiting. And so that's a challenge, but we figure it out. Everybody this time of year is bragging about how great their program is and how great their recruiting class is. So it just kind of gets old to hear everybody say it, Rob, I'll be honest with you. So I know, there's people out there just bragging about how good they're going to be. And obviously the guys that chose us, I hope one of the reasons they chose us is because, what we say is real and authentic. And some of the people that are out there manipulate young people into choosing the wrong school, and then they don't have any retention. And we have great retention here, and we're proud of that. And the young men that chose us today, we're going to take care of, and we plan on all of them being here for a lot of years and getting a degree from Ferris State.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now break down each member of this year's class, and Coach Annese will provide comments on each signee as we start in alphabetical order. First up, a 6'3", 205-pound linebacker from Trenton, Derrick Anderson, was a talented linebacker and prospect from Trenton High School, All-State first-team linebacker and National Honor Society member, was an elite defensive playmaker, named to the Detroit Free Press All-State first team this year, and led his team to a state playoff appearance and a district championship this past season. Yeah,
Derrick is a ball hawk. He actually made some plays that we were really impressed with, being aggressive and running the ball. Coach Caserta kind of ID'd Derrick as a guy that really has a great motor, and, he just plays the game with a lot of passion like most of our guys do, and so that's critically important. Obviously, linebacker is a huge position, and it requires, not only a motor, but great communication and great leadership, and I think Derrick's a guy that will be able to provide that for us.
Next up, from Plainfield, Illinois, we have Derrick Ashiru, 6'2", 175-pound quarterback, was a dynamic playmaker and dual-threat talent, served as a team captain, was an Illinois high school all-state honoree, threw for 2,090 passing yards and accounted for 31 total touchdowns, earned an invitation to the Blue-Gray All-American Bowl where he was named the most valuable player.
Yeah, Demir's a great quarterback. Actually, Coach Steve found him on film and showed it to Coach Rock, who's our quarterback coach, and Coach Rock did a great job recruiting him. Great family, and we're really excited about his skill set. He's got the skill set that we look for here at Ferris. obviously a bright young man who's got good, ball skills in regards to handling the ball, can mesh, can read, can run, and then has a good release. MVP of the blue-gray game. It was on Monday in Tampa. We had several of our guys down there playing, and Demir was the MVP. Had 3 touchdowns, one a long pass to another Ferris guy that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But he's a real good quarterback. It's a great find, and we're really excited about Demir. The only guy from Illinois, by the way.
Next up, we have Joshua Beasley, a 5'11", 185-pound defensive back from Belleville. Led his team to a state championship for the second consecutive year. Was a National Honor Society member. Had 65 total tackles and 10 forced fumbles as a junior. Was named to the 2022 MLive Detroit Football Dream Team. A standout all-conference and all-state performer, and was tabbed as one of Rising Star's top talents in the class of 2023.
Yeah, a ball hawk. Obviously, we like winners, right? We like the idea that he's won back-to-back state championships, like we've won back-to-back national championships. And by the way, so far, all the guys that we've talked about, Derrick was on a highly successful team, and Demir is the best record in school history, if I remember right. So, playing for winners and being used to winning is important to us. And Josh Beasley is one of those guys. He's a guy that likes to tackle, so we like to get our guys down, particularly our safeties down, and make a lot of tackles, put a lot of pressure on the defense, on the offense, to make plays and get our third level guys in there. So we really are excited for Joshua and his opportunity to play here right away.
Our next signee from Freeland, 6'5", 255 pounds, and a defensive lineman, Gabe Blanchard, was a standout lineman for Freeland High School, named the MLive Saginaw Defensive Player of the Year, was a starter on both sides of the ball, had 90 tackles as a senior, including 14 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries. Led Freeland to a 37-10 overall record in his career with 3 district titles, 2 regional championships, and 2 state semifinal appearances. Was also named to the Detroit News All-State team.
Yeah, we love Gabe. Obviously, we've known him for a while because his sister plays basketball here, and so it's nice to have that happen and have him already have a connection to Ferris State. But 6'5", 255, legit big. Going to be a big-bodied guy. Who knows where it's going to end up? It's bigger than Zach Sealer when Zach Sealer came in here as a freshman. So we'll see what happens with Gabe from a size perspective and those kind of things. But obviously, Saginaw, Saginaw News area Defensive Player of the Year is pretty cool. He's got a lot of accomplishments, and he's a really nice young man and a high academic guy. So we're really excited about Gabe.
Our next signee is a 6'5", 290-pound offensive lineman from McBain, Mac Bonico, who was a standout offensive lineman for McBain High School. Was chosen to the Associated Press Division 7-8 All-State First Team. Also earned Michigan High School Football Coaches Association All-State First Team honors. Was ranked as one of the state's top offensive line prospects in this year's recruiting class, and earned Associated Press All-State honors multiple times in his prep career.
Yeah, Mac's a big man. His dad played at Central Michigan. From McBain, we have, a basketball coach, men's basketball coach that's from McBain. That was, a second-string quarterback there, and I think he might have started on the basketball team, but I don't think he scored that many points and was all that good. But Mac is definitely a good one. We've been on him for a long time. One of our big priorities from an offensive line perspective. Very capable of being an outstanding player for us. Obviously has the size, but he also is a good athlete. We like the way he moves around, and I've said this over and over again. We're not recruiting for D2 kids. We're recruiting for D1 misses, and Mac's a D1 miss. We really think that he's going to have an outstanding career here at Ferris State.
Up next, we have Tay Boyd, 6'4", 190 pounds, and a wide receiver from Grand Blanc. Was one of the state's top performers in both football and basketball. Had multiple scholarship offers in the 2 sports. Averaged 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 assists on the hardwood last year. Also earned basketball All-State accolades. Was regarded as one of the Flint and Saginaw area's top playmakers on the football field. Had strong recruiting interest from schools in both sports and was a talented performer and team leader.
Yeah, Tay's quite an athlete. Outstanding receiver. Saw him at camp this summer, one of our camps, and just fell in love with him. Knew that he had the capacity to be great for us, but also knowing that he's got the capacity to be great for a basketball team. So right now, a two-sport guy again, and we've done some pretty good things with that. But look at his highlight films in football, and you'll see a guy that can really high point the ball, really a comfortable receiver with great hands. Look at his dunks in basketball. If you Google, some of those things, you're going to see he's just an unbelievable athlete, guy that can really get up and make incredible plays on the hardwood. So Coach Bronkham and I talked about it, and Coach Hodges recruited him, and he was one of Coach Steve's top wide receiver coaches or players, excuse me. And so we're really excited about Tay. We think he's got a huge upside.
Up next, we have Dalton Bradley, a 5'10", 170-pound wide receiver from Springfield, Ohio. Played on both sides of the football. Had 96 catches for 1,342 yards and 13 scores as a senior. Was a first-team All-Ohio selection. Played for one of Ohio's most explosive offensive attacks and helped his team to a pair of state runner-up appearances.
Yeah, so Springfield's had really last few years very dominant football, and they lost to Lakewood St. Ed's in the biggest division of high school football in Ohio. But Dalton was one of the, obviously looking at his numbers, one of the top performers on their high school team. Got in on him late and excited to get him. We think he's just got a lot of upside athletically. Great ball skills, great sense of understanding, open space as a receiver. And so one thing we did really emphasize is finding a lot of receivers this year, looking for more guys that potentially could even be in the secondary that have great ball skills. And so Dalen's one of those. We'll give him a shot at receiver, peeking at his capacity to cover and those kind of things as well, and we'll see where it goes. But very excited about having a guy from Ohio. We don't get a bunch of them, but Dalton is going to be a great player for us.
Our next signee from Detroit Loyola High School, 6'2", 170-pound defensive back, Dwight Bush, who competed at multiple positions, was tabbed as one of Rising Star's top talents in the Metro Detroit area. Listed as one of the top defensive backs in the class of 2023, was a team captain, a two-way player, and received Detroit News All-Detroit honors multiple times in his prep career.
Yeah, Dwight's got a great skill set. Obviously long, 6'2", for a defensive back. He was at our camp this summer, and we just thought he was great. We offered him then. He's definitely got a lot of upside when it comes to tracking the ball in the air. Making plays on the ball. He's got good ball skills, great cover skills, and so we're really excited about Dwight. We think that, he's a talented player. He stays focused and does the things he needs to do. He's going to have a great career here.
Our next signee from the state of Florida, out of Orlando Edgewater High School, Chase Carter, 6', 190-pound quarterback, was a standout playmaker for Edgewater, was one of Florida's top performers. Also ranked as one of the state's top sprinters on the track. Helped lead his team to the state playoffs, was a National Honor Society member, chosen as a Central Florida All-Star in the class of 2023, and listed as one of the Orlando Sentinels Central Florida Super 60 honorees.
Yeah, so this is one of 10 Floridians that we have. Excited. Obviously, we've had great players from Florida. There's a kid by the name of Marcus Taylor, who wore number 1 for us this year. Was pretty good from Orlando Oak Ridge, or Sidney McLeod, who were number one on the defensive side of the ball from Miramar. So it's just been extraordinarily positive for us to get Florida guys, and they've just played great. I mean, we've got a ton of them. And so we'll keep it rolling. I guess that's our formula. A lot of GLIAC schools don't do it our way, but we've had a decent level of success bringing those guys in. But Chase is another one that's very gifted. It says 6 foot 190 quarterback. It'll be a slash behind that athlete. He is an athlete. He is very fast. I know he ran 10.85 in the 100 meters last year. He is very smart. He's got over a 4-point and extraordinarily high SAT score. And so loved meeting his dad, and he's very, very involved in athletics. And Chase was running track when he was like a 10-year-old. And so I saw him running in a 4x1, I think, when he's 9 and 10 and winning a national championship. So a great athlete. Watch his film. He played, it's William Chase Carter on his huddle, but he played with the number one running back in the nation, who's already at the University of Texas. And when that running back got hurt, Chase had to really pick up the pace when it comes to running the ball. Good RPO guy as a quarterback, good dual threat guy as a quarterback, and seems to be a great leader and a great young man. So excited about Chase.
Our next signee is also from the state of Florida. Christian Kramer, 6'1", 210-pound linebacker from South Broward High School, was an outstanding playmaker for South Broward, selected to compete in the Dade vs. Broward Florida All-Star Game, was featured as one of Florida's top linebackers in the class of 2013, and was also one of the top 5 difference makers in this year's class in the state of Florida.
Yeah, love Christian. I'm not going to tell everybody our formula for how we get connected with kids from Florida, but I can tell you this. When we evaluated guys, Christian was our number one linebacker. Actually, just here on the last weekend official visit, which is, awesome to get him in the last weekend, and he had a great time. We loved his personality. He's a ball hawk, man. He runs the ball hard. He's a winner. He's passionate about being the best he can be. And so, yeah, we're really excited about him. He's a guy that, he's got the perfect skill set for what we're looking for in a linebacker. So I'm guessing he's going to have an extraordinary career. And you're going to remember that name, Christian Kramer, over the next 4 or 5 years.
Next up, from back in the state of Michigan, out of Watervliet High School, we have Royce Dougherty, 6'3", 295-pound defensive tackle, was an impressive force on the defensive line, selected to play in the Blue-Gray All-American Bowl, was also tapped to compete in the Legacy All-Star Game, was a first-team All-State honoree during his prep career, served as a team captain, and was a 4-year starter and a Michigan High School Football Coaches Association All-State first-team honoree.
Yeah, I think Royce is probably the leader of the group when it comes to group text and getting everybody involved with, Bulldog football. So he's from Watervliet, West Michigan. And so West Michigan kids, I think we had 10 West Michigan kids out of this group, which is awesome. It's a big priority for us. I said it the day I took this job, big priority for us. So that's a solid percentage, 10 out of, I think, 30. What do we got? 36. And so that's really good. Royce played in that game, the All-Star game down in Florida, and played very well. So he loves football. He's been with us for a while now, committed to us early, and like I said, he's helped kind of get other guys involved, and really cool to see 4 guys selected to that Blue-Gray All-American game. Obviously, I couldn't say it on Monday because it's illegal about talking about commits, but now I can say it now that they signed with us, that it was awesome to see those 4 guys down there together playing for the team that won it and dominated. So pretty cool.
Our next individual is C.J. Dorsey, 5'10", 175-pound defensive back out of Terry Parker High School in Jacksonville, Florida. Was ranked as one of the top players in Northeast Florida. Had 9 interceptions and more than 1,000 yards of total offense as a junior. Was a first-team All-State selection. Also a first-team All-First Coast honoree each of the past 2 seasons. Led his team to a state playoff appearance and earned Florida All-State honors during his prep career.
Yeah, I love CJ. He was also another one that came up this past weekend. He is from Jacksonville. I was in Jacksonville over the week starting on the Monday of Martin Luther King Jr. I was in Jacksonville on that Thursday, and we, were doing some research and found that C.J. Dorsey was going in his junior year, one of the top players in the Jacksonville area. And so Jacksonville does a nice job, even though it's kind of northeast Florida and disconnected from, some of the other areas. But they do a really good job. Duval Sports does a good job of identifying players. So I was doing research, reading Duval Sports information, and found CJ's name. And his dad's his high school head coach. And so that's cool. So I rolled into Parker High School and had a great visit with them, and then brought him up here and signed him today. So very excited about CJ.
Up next, we have a 6'3", 250-pound defensive lineman from Taylor, Laurent Dunamo, who was a big-time performer for Taylor High School, generated multiple scholarship offers, was ranked as one of Prep Red Zone's top defensive line prospects in the class of 2023, earned Defensive Line Most Valuable Performer honors at regional showcases this past summer. He's also competed in basketball and was named to the All-News Herald team, among many other accolades.
Laurent is a big man, very athletic guy. Was at our camp at De La Salle when we were in Warren for a summer camp, and Coach Smith loved him. And so he's a guy that's just got a lot of upside. He's a guy that can really run for a big fella. He can only get bigger and more physical, obviously, and he's got the capacity to really dominate, physically, be very disruptive, and we've obviously got a extraordinary defensive line culture with all the guys we got that have succeeded here and in the NFL, and obviously Murph's out there with the opportunity to potentially get drafted, which I think he will. And so, if you're a defensive lineman, you're a high school kid, and you want to, give an opportunity to play for the Dogs, you got a chance to be in the NFL, and Laurent's one of them for sure.
Our next signee from right here in West Michigan, 6'3", 220-pound tight end and long snapper from Hudsonville, Mason Dykstra, who was one of the Grand Rapids area's top performers. Named the Meyer Scholar Athlete, was a standout performer on the basketball floor. Also earned all Ottawa Kent Conference first-team honors, was a multi-year varsity performer and starter, and named to the 2022 MLive Grand Rapids Dream Team.
Yeah, Mason's one of my favorite guys in the whole class. Obviously from Hudsonville, West Michigan kid, but he was named the Meyer Scholar Athlete of the year, his junior year, and in his interview he talked about wanting to come to Ferris State, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. Come to find out, his mom is in our Hall of Fame, which is cool, and multiple sport athlete, and so obviously great pedigree there. Mason's a bigger guy, has the capacity to play tight end and long snap for us. Skill set of long snapping is obviously critically important, and we're hoping that Mason keeps on working on that and training to perfect that craft. But he's also a multiple-sport athlete, so love guys that are playing multiple sports. He's succeeding on the basketball team and plays baseball, and so love athletes like that. So excited about Mason and excited about his family being reconnected with Ferris State. So that's pretty cool.
Next up, from back in Florida, we have Jarek Fields, 6'1", 220-pound linebacker out of Pinellas Park High School in Largo, Florida, was one of Florida's top linebackers, racked up 104 total tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 3 interceptions. Was a first-team All-County selection, named to the 2023 Florida Football Prospect Watch List, was also projected as one of the top collegiate talents in the state, and was the Pinellas County Metro Defensive Player of the Year.
So Derrick is along the Gulf Coast near Clearwater, Tampa area. That's where Coach Rock went when he recruited Florida. And he did a really nice job getting some really good players. Derrick's the first one that I'm mentioning here, but very physical guy, a sprinter on track and really run. Built like a linebacker, and so he was up again this weekend. Came and he's just a ball hawk. He's got the capacity just to run to the ball and get after it. So we're excited about our linebackers. We got what we feel is some really good ones in this class, and obviously it's critically important to have great linebackers, not only from making a lot of tackle standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint. Our guys have really done a nice job, but we expect Derrick to come in here and compete hard and have a really good chance to play early.
Our next individual from Ottawa Hills High School in Grand Rapids, Kamryn Gibson, 6'2", 255-pound running back, ranked among the state's top performers this past season, competed on both sides of the football, was an all-state honoree, a two-time All-Area Dream Team selection, also chosen as his team's most valuable offensive player, and ranked as one of the top 10 West Michigan high school football prospects.
Another West Michigan guy. We've been on him for a while. He came to camp last summer. I don't remember what he weighed in at that camp, but it was big, and then he just stood there and did a backflip, and I'm like, dang, and that kid's an athlete. So he's a big guy. You see him running the ball, and he's just, basically running over people or carrying people down the field. So he's powerful, athletic, talented, got a good personality. Christian Burley's done a nice job of taking care of Christian's the head coach at Ottawa, taking care of Kamryn, and Kamryn's a really good young man, and so we're excited about him.
Up next, we have Dijon Gilbert, 6'3", 295-pound offensive lineman from Edgewater High School in Orlando. Powerful and strong offensive lineman, was another Sunshine State product, helped his team average more than 233 yards rushing per game this past season, led his team to a 12-1 overall record, including a 10-0 regular season mark, was chosen to compete in the Elite 100 Prospects All-Star game, guided his team to a state playoff appearance, and was a 3-year varsity performer.
Yeah, Dijon is... he's a really good-looking athlete. I don't think he's 6'3", but we'll go with that for now. But he's a very powerful athlete. Can run really well for an offensive lineman. Chase Carter, who we talked about a little bit ago, who was the quarterback from Edgewater. Obviously Dijon blocked for him, and he's just a really competent player. He can really get on bodies. One of the things I really want to emphasize is second level and third level blocking. He's got the athleticism to do that, but also drive people at the first level. So he's one of the guys that really stands out from an athletic standpoint as an offensive lineman, and so we'll see what happens, but we feel good about him, and potentially, if necessary, we can roll him as an interior D lineman. I don't know how comfortable he is with that, but he's built like an interior D lineman. So, but we're going to give him a chance at O-line and see what he can do. But I'm expecting, really positive things from him, and played for Cameron Duke there at Edgewater, and like you said, Edgewater had a great season. Only one loss. Again, another program that, kids come from winning programs. They compete hard and they know how to win. So excited about them.
Next up, from back in the state of Michigan, we have Lamont Gordon, 5'10", 175-pound defensive back from River Rouge. Was a leader on the defensive side of the ball this past season, a talented track and field performer, competed in the Elite 100 Showcase, was one of the top talents in Southeast Michigan, and a highly regarded prospect with big play potential.
Yeah, I saw Lamont there last spring. People had I don't know if they're called showcases or what they were called, but there were just little recruiting things where college coaches went from place to place, and you could go to Belleville, then River Rouge, and they were all the times are staggered, so you could go to a lot of places. Saw Lamont there at Rouge and liked him. He's a safety with really good instinct at the third level, making plays on the ball, and I was impressed by that. And he can run really well, and he's got really good ball skills, and plays for a great program again. River Rouge is outstanding program, and so kind of young man that is a high character kid and has the right attitude and all those things, intangibles that make a winner, and that's what we're looking for.
Our next individual from Woodhaven High School, 6', 180-pound running back, Devin Henry, who had a combined 2,200 rushing yards and 30 scores in the past 2 years, was a Division I All-State first-team honoree as a junior, was also a track and field All-American, a 4-time All-State track and field athlete, received Detroit Free Press All-West recognition, and was a Detroit blue chip prospect.
You didn't read he ran 10.9 in 100 meters, but Devin's a track athlete. A lot of these guys are track athletes, and we're built that way. We want speed. We would sacrifice size to have speed, and so that's Devin's got them both really, but speed's really important for us. He got banged up a little bit this year, his senior year, but had an extraordinarily great career. He came to our prospect camp at Mona Shores, believe that or not. We were in Detroit a couple times for prospect camps, and he came all the way over, him and his mom, to Muskegon I meant Muskegon High. I forgot that camp was at Muskegon High. But so Devin, was impressed us right away, and we really decided right then we wanted him, and just watching his track times and his ability to make people miss, and it's just really good film. So you guys can search Devin Henry Huddle, and you can watch his film, but we really like his skill set as a running back.
Next up, a linebacker from Bad Axe, 6'5", 230 pounds, Jake McPhee, who was a Michigan High School Football Coaches Association All-State first-team honoree, was regarded as one of the top players in the Thumb, earned Detroit Free Press All-State recognition, has also played basketball, and was a consensus All-State honoree.
Yeah, so brother is Toby, who's here now, who's showing real glimpses of greatness. So we're excited about Toby, and then, getting Jake adding to that deal. Mom and Dad both Ferris alum, so really excited, and they have every reason now to be here for games every weekend. But Jake is a big guy, obviously 6'5", 230. He's a guy that really competes hard, loves the weight room, is obviously really strong, and has the capacity really to do a lot of different things for us. And he's played tight end at the high school level and looks good there. Obviously linebacker, and it just depends on how big these guys get. Toby got a lot bigger as he came here, and has a really good chance to do really well. And Jake's going to be kind of the same way. Jake, I guess, is faster than Toby, although I'm not verifying that. But I asked them both, and they seem to agree. But I love the fact that they're brothers that really are close. They have a great bond, and so they're going to live together. And it's cool just to, I have three brothers, and it's cool just to go golfing with those three in the summertime. So just having a brotherly love is awesome, and it just really just makes it so much more special. So welcome, Jake.
Up next, we have Derrick Matlock II, a 6'3", 250-pound defensive lineman from Detroit Edison High School, was an imposing force on the defensive line, honored as one of Michigan's top 50 high school recruits in the class of 2023, was named to the Detroit News All-Detroit Football Squad, also tabbed as one of MLive's 20 linemen to watch this past season, and led his team to the state playoffs multiple times.
Yeah, this one and the next one, both coached by Chantarius Brock, good friend of mine. Chantarius helped us get a guy by the name of Vincent Cooley, who's been pretty good for us, and Bryce George, who's been pretty good for us, and now Derrick, and then the next one in a minute. But Derrick, love his skill set. Thought at one point in time he was going to go to one of the military academies, and decided to come to us. So really thrilled to have him. Bright young man, obviously, and great work ethic. He tells me he gets up at 4:30 in the morning to go lift weights, to go to a facility, goes 15 minutes to that facility, goes back home, showers, then goes to school. So pretty committed young man, and it's awesome to see how committed some of these guys are, and they're going to come here. And again, I talked about the defensive line, tradition here, and Derrick has a great chance to be, a superstar here.
Our next signee, also from Detroit Edison High School, 6 foot, 170-pound athlete, McClure, who is regarded as one of the top talents on the southeast side of the state, was also a standout performer on the track, a multi-year starter and letter winner, and one of the Detroit area's top performers the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, McHale, it says he was a quarterback, but, we try to find quarterbacks and love quarterbacks. They're used to being leaders and guiding teams. There's a dude by the name of Caleb Murphy was a quarterback in high school, and Brandon Childress, who was a quarterback in high school, and Desmond Lightburtis, who was a quarterback in high school. C.J. Jefferson played a little quarterback. I think Brady Rose was a pretty good quarterback. Major Deadman was a quarterback. I was a quarterback. Rocky was a quarterback. Steve was a quarterback. My nephew Tony was a quarterback. We love quarterbacks. So, we're finding quarterbacks here. We got a bunch of guys that, maybe 4 or 5 on the signing class that, can move around and play different spots. But Mikhail's an athlete. He's been just a fine athlete for a number of years, and we think he's got the capacity to come in here and show his stuff, maybe in the secondary, maybe as a slot, maybe as a receiver, maybe as a running back. So we'll see, but he's an exceptional athlete.
Our next signee is a quarterback, 5'10", 180 pounds, from Detroit Cass Tech High School, LaShawn Mumfield, talented athlete from the Motor City, was ranked as one of the state's best, led his team to a 9-4 overall record, was also tabbed among the state's top players by Rivals.com, threw for nearly 2,000 yards this past season, one of the top players in the Detroit Public School League, earned Associated Press All-State honors, and was also the state's best punter in Division I and II.
The best punter? And left-footed? Wow. I didn't know that. I'm learning something there. So I saw LaShawn COVID year. We weren't playing. I must have been bored on a Saturday because I went down to Detroit and watched the Cass King game. And I'm like, what? First off, not 5'10", LaShawn. I stand taller than you. You know that. So I'm like, what? Look at this little guy. He's playing. He's the quarterback for Cass Tech as a sophomore. And I was wowed, man. I loved him from that moment. And I said, Mason, Dykstra is one of my favorite guy. But LaShawn, I would say, has to be tied because he's just such a great kid to watch play football. And he's such a good quarterback. No lie, if he stands 5'7" now and he stood 6'2", he would be the top quarterback in the nation. I mean, not to state, but he would have been the top quarterback of the nation if he's 6'2". So I always say this, everybody's feet hits in the same spot. So I don't care how tall you are. I care that you can use your feet and move. And LaShawn can do that. He's got great sense of, just instinct as a quarterback. I did watch him. The last time I watched him in person, it was, Coach Fairfield's going to be so mad at me, but it was 35-0 when LaShawn was a junior, Cass Tech versus Muskegon. And I couldn't believe it. He was just such a machine. So watched their semifinal game on TV where Cass played Belleville. It went into overtime, and so impressed with him there. So just love him. He's just an awesome personality, great kid, and excited for him to be just around us every day because he'll be one of the guys that lights up the room.
Next up, we have Tim Ormand, 5'11", 175-pound slot out of American Collegiate Academy in Clearwater, Florida. Was a dynamic playmaker and talent. Began his prep career at Carmen Ainsworth High School in Flint. Had multiple scholarship offers, earned all-conference recognition during his prep career. Was a multi-year starter and letter winner on the high school level, and also took part in both basketball and track and field.
Yeah, Tim came on us late too. Coach Hodges has a good connection there in Flint, and obviously Tim left the state to go to Clearwater, Florida, and went to a postgraduate school. But he was at Carmen Ainsworth. It was really solid there and Flint, and so we just saw his talent, and Coach Hodges basically approached Coach Steve and said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "Yeah, I like him." And he's one of Jalen Townsend, one of the guys we're talking about in a little bit, but one of his great buddies. And we're like, "Yeah, let's get him." And we just got him recently, but really excited about Tim.
Next up, from Grand Rapids South Christian High School, we have Cam Post, 6'3", 245-pound defensive lineman. Was one of West Michigan's top talents. Led his team to a state championship and a perfect 14-0 record. Played on both the offensive lineman and linebacker. Finished the 2022 season with 60 tackles, including 43 solo stops and 31 assists. Was a team captain and 3-year varsity starter.
Yeah, I love Cam as well. He just has got a great motor. Obviously, great team. They won the state championship. It was awesome to see, coached by a great guy in Danny Brown. Watched Cam in person a couple times. I think between the rest of our coaches, we've probably watched him 4 or 5 times this year, different guys. And he just was a playmaker. He played offense, played defense, always around the ball. Great student, great school, and a young man that he's going to be really good here. He's going to be committed to being the best. So really excited about Cam. Had good feels about him from the beginning, and really think he's going to have a good career here.
Up next, we have Ben Pristula, 6'4", 250-pound offensive lineman from Gibraltar Carlson High School. Was a 4-sport athlete. Won the Monroe County Heavyweight Championship on the wrestling mat. Was chosen to the 2022 Friday Night Victor Select Squad. Led his team to back-to-back league championships and another state playoff appearance as a senior. Was a first-team All-Area, All-Conference, and All-Region honoree.
So what's wild about Ben, and you people that know sports will know, how do you do this, okay? So he plays on their basketball team and wrestles and does both very successfully. So, if you're wrestling or playing basketball, you're basically committed to after school till, 6 o'clock or whatever. I don't know how you do them both, all right? So he goes to basketball practice, then to wrestling practice. On Fridays, he's got a basketball game. On Saturdays, he's got a wrestling tournament. And so that's extraordinary, let alone, the fact that, he's obviously a great football player. But anybody that's that committed to competition, like, oh, I want to play basketball. Oh, by the way, I'm wrestling too. And, oh, by the way, I'm a great wrestler. That's unbelievable. So we love guys like that. And so Ben is just a committed athlete, hard worker. And around here, recruiting is one thing, getting them in the door is one thing, but we're like second to none in player development. People are going to ask me what's primarily the most important. Recruiting is important, but not as important as player development. And what we do is we transform guys, but we need to have guys who are willing to work. And Ben obviously loves to work. So, the sky's the limit for guys that want to work like that. So we're going to see, but he's pretty incredible to be that committed.
Up next from Cadillac, Chris Reinhold, 6'2", 210-pound linebacker, was one of West Michigan's top talents, was a Big North Conference top performer this past season. Also played running back on the prep level, was a 3-year starter and multi-year letter winner. Helped lead his team to the state championship game in 2020 and was a Traverse City Record Eagle Dream Team selection who led Cadillac to multiple district championships and state playoff appearances.
Yeah, Chris is a guy that can really run to the ball and make plays. He's a multi-sport athlete as well. Love that. Love the fact he comes from a winning program. And like I said, our linebackers are vicious. Our linebackers run to the ball, make plays. Chris is the consummate guy like that. He can really make a lot of tackles. His numbers are great, and he's definitely a guy that will keep on growing and getting big and being committed to the weight room, and we're excited about his potential.
Next from Miramar, Florida, we have Trey Rigby, 5'9", 170-pound defensive back. Was a standout defensive back and playmaker. 3-year varsity standout. Finished this past season with 40 tackles, 5 interceptions, a pick 6, and also ran back both a punt return and a kick return for scores. Was a Broward County Football All-Star first-team selection. Also named to the Broward County Athletic Association All-Star Game and helped lead his team to a state playoff appearance.
Yeah, so a couple points on this. One, Miramar. It's where Sidney McLeod went. Jacarvis, Alexander, amongst a couple others. And so, we've had great luck with Miramar High School. Secondly, he is not 5'9". Justin Payout is about 5'5". He was number 11 for us. That literally was the best free safety I've seen around here in a while, number 11 for us. And Trey just kind of outdistanced him by that much. So they remind me of each other, and they're playmakers. And Trey's a playmaker, and so if he was 6 foot, then he would be playing, at Alabama or something. But he isn't, and that makes it great for us. So, but he's a guy that can really, run around and make, disrupt things. And that's what, Payout did. Like, our defense was really good when Justin Payout started playing. And, I can't think of a bad play that Payout made. Like, he was all over the field and doing great things. And so, like I said, we're not into measurables. We're into production. And Trey Rigby is not a great measurable guy, standing a little bit shorter than me, but he's definitely a production guy. So you're going to see him and you're going to love him.
Up next, also from Florida, we have Keon Sears, 5'8", 160-pound slot out of Venice, Florida. Was a tremendous athlete with game-breaking ability, a standout sprinter on the track who was a 2-time state champion, led his team to a regional championship and state championship appearance, a 3-year letter winner on the prep level, ran a 10.6 in the 100 meters, and tallied nearly 50 catches for more than 600 yards and 10 touchdowns as a senior this past fall.
Yeah, so another short one. So he is not 5'8", shorter than that. I feel like I'm going to be tall running around here. But he can go, man. I mean, he can go. He's from Venice High School. His junior year, he helped lead him to a state championship in the state of Florida. His senior year, they lost in the championship game. And so, a winner, though. I mean, winners. And he was their playmaker. And so he's definitely a guy that can really run. It says personal best 10.6 on 100 meters to be third in the Florida Class 4A state championship. And that's fast, okay? We got some fast dudes. And I'll go back to Marcus Taylor because I was watching the film again today doing some cut-ups. And Marcus Taylor in that national championship game was fast. The fastest human being on earth that day that was playing because nobody else was playing. But he was extraordinarily fast. And it's great to have fast guys. And Keon can roll. Great personality. He's going to be one of those slots that really just make plays for us. And look for him. He's number 1 for Venice High School if you want to Google his film.
Up next from Detroit Cass Tech High School, we have Javen Sewell, 5'10", 175-pound defensive back who was a big-time playmaker for Cass Tech. Led his team to the state playoffs, was listed by State Champs Network as one of the top prospects to watch. chosen to play in the Blue-Gray Football All-America Bowl, was an All-State honoree multiple times, and listed by Prep Red Zone as one of the top 5 receivers in the class of 2023.
Yeah, and in the Blue-Gray game, the All-American Bowl that was in Tampa on Monday at a pick. So he had an interception in that game, playing against some of the best talent in the United States. And so, I love Javen. He's a great young man. His dad's a head coach at Pershing High School, so he's got great, family pedigree, loving football and things of that sort. Hard worker, coming from a great program. Again, I said this earlier, but watch the semifinal game in which Cass lost to Belleville in overtime, and Cass had a great team. They're used to playing really high caliber teams. Again, going back to the fact that we got a bunch of winners, a bunch of guys that are used to winning, and so Sewell's going to be one of those guys that comes out and competes hard and tries to be the best every day. So player development will make him great.
Our next signee is from Battle Creek Central High School, Lorenz Smith, 6'4", 195-pound wide receiver, who played both wide receiver and defensive back, averaged more than 19 yards per catch this past season, also competed in basketball and track and field, was tabbed to the 2022 Battle Creek Inquirer All-City and All-Area teams, was a key starter in the defensive backfield, and regarded as one of Southern Michigan's top threats at the receiver position.
Yeah, so Lorenz is, I would say, like most young people that are taller and athletic, they are basketball players first, and then they find out that they can really play the game of football, and then they choose football over basketball. But he plays for a guy that Lauren Granger, who's obviously a big supporter of ours because his son plays here, which is awesome. And then great to get a guy that's 6'4", and I think there's a level of ripeness when it comes to guys that play basketball for a long time, because they don't really have the precision of what it takes to be a great receiver, which is good, because I like a guy that if there's a lot of opportunities to learn, they grow a lot, they get sharper in their skills, and then they take off. And I think Lorenz is going to be that way. He has the capacity to really do a lot of great things. And I love basketball, so I love basketball players. I love basketball players that, can go up and get it. And we got a lot of them this year, and Lorenz is one of them.
Our next signee is a 5'10", 170-pound defensive back from Benton Harbor, Devonte Tasker, who is a highly regarded playmaker, one of the top talents in Southwest Michigan. Named to the school honor roll, has also played basketball and competed in track and field, was one of the league's top all-around threats, and a multi-year starter during his prep career.
Yeah, we saw DT in a camp at Comstock Park, right, Steve? Did we see DT at Comstock Park? You don't remember? Thanks for that help. But I'm pretty sure it was at Comstock Park, and he did just great things covering. We offered him then, been monitoring him ever since. He's obviously another guy that played quarterback there at Benton Harbor, but he's a multiple dimensional athlete. He could play offense, but we love his coverage skills. He's just really a lockdown corner. On that day at camp, nobody can complete a ball on him. So he's very confident. He's got a great skill set, and he's one of those guys that, will kind of follow behind, the Sidney McLeods and the Tavier Thomases and the guys that we've had that have been great corners here.
Up next, we have Jalen Townsend, 6', 175-pound receiver out of Flint Beecher High School, dynamic talent who was an Associated Press All-State honoree, also ranked among the state's speediest sprinters in track and field, was chosen to the Michigan High School Football Coaches Association All-State team, was a 2022 Detroit News All-State first-team honoree, and ranked as one of the top 40 players in Michigan, also earned Flint Dream Team recognition this past year.
Yeah, so Jalen can really roll. He is 6 foot, so we finally got somebody who was honest about their height. He played in that same All-Star game and had a 92-yard touchdown catch. The first catch in that blue-gray game on Monday, the first play was a pass from a Ferris State commit who signed with us to a Ferris State receiver for 92 yards in Tampa, Florida. That's pretty good, right? So that means we're doing pretty well at recruiting. So plays multiple sports, football, basketball, I almost said baseball, but track, in which he was or is two-time state champion in the 100 meters. The 100-meter last race he ran his junior year was not even a race. Like, literally, he could have turned around and ran backwards on his last 10 yards because that's how far he was ahead. So it says he runs 10.75. He might run 10.5 if somebody's next to him, but nobody's been next to him. So this guy is probably, boy, we're gonna have so many fast guys. We probably should have a track meet, at halftime of one of our games. But he can really roll, and so he's going to be a guy that can really stretch the defense. Obviously, a 92-yard catch in a All-Star game is big. We fought hard for him. Loved his family. Great mom. Great family. People that are going to enjoy being at Ferris State, and so and a great young man. He's a really good student as well, and hopefully they win the state basketball team to get a state basketball championship at Beecher, and then he wins the track championship, and then comes to Ferris and tears it up.
Our next signee from Muskegon Mona Shores High School is Jalen Benton, 6'1", 185-pound receiver and defensive back, who is an Associated Press All-State honoree, talented performer with big playability, was a two-time state champion, named to the 2022 MLive Muskegon Dream Team, caught 34 passes for 623 yards and 9 touchdowns in 11 games this past year, and was chosen as one of Michigan's top 50 recruits in the class of 2023 by MLive.
Yeah, I'm going to say it again. Like this page I'm looking at, Townsend, Benton, and then Ware, all of them are D1 offers. And so it's awesome to win, not so much win, but at least, get guys who, have D1 offers that choose Ferris over the D1. So that's incredible considering we don't have FCS, so we're competing right against FBS schools here in Michigan. But Jalen's a great athlete, fun to watch, can play a lot of positions, coached by one of my former assistants, Matt Koziak. Does a great job throwing the ball there at Shores. He caught 34 passes for 623. Also played defensive back, best defensive back they had on the team. Obviously chosen one of Michigan's top 50 recruits in 2023. So we're dipping in really well with the top 50, which is awesome. And so we feel great about him. Great young man, good student, and has a bright future here.
Our next signee is Alston Ware, 6 foot, 175-pound defensive back from Florida. Had 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions as a prep senior. Was an Orlando All-Area selection. Also named to the Elite 100 Prospects All-Star squad. Was tabbed as one of the most underrated players in Central Florida. Led his team to a state playoff appearance and was chosen to compete in the Under Armour All-American game.
So when you said from Florida, you were afraid to say the city, weren't you? Huh? Akui. O-C-O-E-E. Akui. Took me a long time, by the way. But I just had to point that out that Rob was just trying to avoid saying it. But yeah, Alston, he came actually last weekend too. Long defensive back. Good student. Again, guy that is very athletic. He's got really good film in football and in basketball. He was one of the guys that we identified down in Florida as a guy that we wanted to go recruit. I went into a CUI to get him, and is kind of nervous that he might get Division I offers, and but we ended up getting him, and so he's got a lot of upside, long athletic guy who's going to get bigger and stronger in the weight room. I try to identify this fact. In Florida, in the winter, it's warm. And so you look just outside that door, that weight room's packed. But in Florida, most of them are working on skills, movement skills. In Michigan, you can't go do that out there. And so Michigan kids tend to have more exposure to the weight room. Florida kids have, more, effective movement skills. And obviously that's a generality, but I think it kind of, in this case, when our Florida kids come and learn how to lift weights, they really blow up, and they do. They really work hard, and some of our guys, like Ed Lawler from Miami Central, he gained 15, 20 pounds of muscle weight, and so that's how that works. But I think Alston's going to come here, really blow up. He's got a good frame, put a lot of muscle weight on, and when you put muscle weight on, you get bigger, faster, and stronger, obviously.
And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Jaquavius Washington, 5'9", 175-pound defensive back from Venice, Florida. Was an electric talent, tallied 62 tackles with 6 pass breakups and a fumble recovery this past year. Also blocked 3 punts. Was named to the SB Live Sports Florida 2022 All-South Suncoast team and was a multi-year starter and letter winner on the prep level.
Yeah, Jaquavius is a great athlete as well. Great young man. Had great time with his family. The Venice crew had a lot of fun here this past weekend. They like snow, which is really cool because I don't. But, when you first see it for the first time, it's fun. Wait till they get used to it. But Jaquavius is a guy that really is a playmaker. Came from Sarasota High School and came to Venice his senior year. A lot of people going to Venice because they've got a great football program, and he just made an impact right away. He's a guy that just gets around the ball a lot. Has the capacity to make plays. He's going to be a special teams guy, blocking 3 punts. That's on his highlight film. Where you say, dang, that guy just blocked 3 punts, and that's hard to do. And so he's a really good athlete, a guy that, is competitive and just got a great personality. So our Venice guys are going to do great, and all of our Florida guys are going to do great, and we're really excited about the whole crew.
Is he actually 5'9", or is that just...
He might be 5'9". Yeah, he might be my height. Yes, that might be true. The guys that are listed at 5'9" typically are about 5'7".
Thank you, Coach Anise. That wraps up our breakdown on this year's 36-member class. At this time, we'll open the floor up for questions to our media members in attendance.
Coach, another year, another really impressive recruiting class for you guys. What are you most excited to see as these guys start to come to the program here?
See them on the field. So, like I said, I know everybody's bragging today, Like I should be the one bragging, right? But everybody's sitting out there telling kids how great they're going to be and all that stuff. And yet, some of these teams are 3-3 in the GLIAC and bragging like they're good, And so that's okay. But, for me, proof is in the pudding. I hope these guys choose us, obviously, because the catalyst of our greatness is love. And so we're a really connected group of people. But beyond that, our player development is second to none, as seen by the fact that we have the most D2 players in the NFL. And then, third, we're competitive. We got winners, and so I'm looking forward to seeing people on the field. Truthfully, I love this, and I'm glad it's over with. And now I'm excited to go to spring ball because I can't wait to see the guys on the field. And truthfully, people say this to me all the time. Oh, it's pretty easy to recruit, in Michigan because you got these 2 things, right? You would think that. But no, it's hard. It's even harder almost because people are afraid to come compete. Young people, some of these guys that chose other schools over us, they just don't think they can play at Ferris. And, that's disappointing. But, I'll be honest with you. We go to Michigan and recruit, and we go somewhere else to find guys if we can't get the Michigan kids. And we got beat out there on some recruiting battles. It's okay. We now got better players than those guys by just going to Florida and getting a group of guys that are used to competing and winning. And so it'll make us better in the long haul.
Tony, do you feel, we never know how a lot of these guys are going to turn out, but as you look at your past recruiting classes, this has been pretty successful, as these guys have been obviously 2 national championships, but as you look back, does a high percentage of these kids that you come in wind up having success?
Yeah, our younger players are better than our older players. I say it every year. It's weird to say now, but the best is yet to come. And we're, this year just alone, Carson Gawker was a freshman on that field. Brady Rose was a freshman on that field. Justin Payout was a freshman on that field. Bryce George was a freshman on that field. Tim and Bob Anderson were freshmen on that field. Cameron Underwood was a freshman on that field. On and on. Steve, you going to add some or no? See, he doesn't want to say anything. So we played a lot of guys that were freshmen on the field last year, and obviously went 14-1 and won the national championship. So, the formula's working. This year in particular, we took more skill guys than ever. We have, how do you describe it? We have kind of like we have so many defensive linemen that literally the scout team defensive line sometimes was better than the team we were playing's defensive line. And I'm like, I'd go to Coach Smith and I'm like, man, these guys are killing us. I mean, we can't even get the ball to the line of scrimmage sometimes. And yet they're still scout team because of our depth on the D-line. So there's a lot of good players still that are young players. I'm really excited about the growth of our program. And I feel like the program is going to be stronger for longer than I'm going to be stronger for longer, if you get my drift. So I don't know how much longer I can go where, in 10, 12, 15 years, and I say, dang, we're going to be good again next year, but we're going to be good again next year, and we're going to be good for, 5 years. And I'm just praying I'm going to be good for 5 years. So.
Coach, you talk about your young guys coming in and doing some great things. What does that do for the competition level to the older guys to, work hard and establish a program that's won back-to-back national championships?
Yeah, well, you see, I missed a lot of guys actually, but now they're popping in my head. Deion Small was a freshman, and James Colby was a freshman, and Zamir Knighton was a freshman, and Dorian Riley was a freshman, and those are just offensive guys. So what it does, it just makes it so hotly competitive, like you look at Brady like in that national championship game, and freshmen don't like perform that way. In a national championship game, freshmen don't perform that way, but yet our guys do. And it's so competitive that, no lie, sometimes the matchup between Xavier Wade and that corner, and I could name a few corners, is like such elite play. Like in practice, it just elevates our team. Tyrese Hunt Thompson versus Vincent Cooley. Just watch it, right? That's practice. So my biggest concern is just making sure that our practice is monitored at the level where we don't compete and kill each other, And I said this, people say, well, how come you guys, because we weren't really that good middle of the year, how do you guys win a national championship game 41-14? And we just continue to elevate our play all the time, and that's just the nature of who our guys are. So literally, I jokingly said, if we kept on playing, potentially, we could have won the Super Bowl. We could be one of those NFL teams because we kept on elevating our play, and our guys are so competitive. They don't think like we went into McKinney with no doubts we were going to win that game. And I can remind you that, Mines was an extraordinarily good team. They had 2 early losses to GV and Angelo, but then they were on a streak, and then we made them look somewhat pedestrian, And so our guys, we're just competitive, and so these guys will learn that. Some will get it right away because they're from winning programs. Others will think, "Holy crap, am I going to find my place on this team?" But our guys learn from the older guys, and it's been passed down. Jason Vanderlaan, Jake Lampman, Justin Zimmer were the greatest passed down guys on earth, okay? And then Tyvier Thomas and Zach Sealer and Austin Edwards, those guys started passing down. And it's been that way now for a while. And, Sidney McLeod set such a high standard for the DB's work ethic. I mean, now these guys have to lift that standard even further, or else they kind of look, insufficient.
Coach, as a whole, for all 36 of your players that you're bringing in, what are some commonalities and words that you would have to describe all your group of signees?
I'd say winners. A lot of them are from winning programs. I should have done that. I'm somewhat negligent, Rob, but I should have added up, all their records in high school and then got an average. Steve, could you do that in the next 3 seconds? But most of them are from really highly successful programs. And that's critically important. And so that ultimately is really probably the thing that really makes us great is guys that are used to winning, or if they're not used to winning, pursuing the very best that's in them. We always just talk about the best version of ourselves, and our guys really, really do that. So, like I said, no measurables here. Maybe 6 kids that are shorter than me. We don't care, Justin Pale kind of showed it. If he stood here next to me right now, you'd be like, really? He's a college football player? No, he's a superstar college football player. And he was a freshman and has no fear. So that's just how we are, and that's, that's the fairest way. That's why we're good in a lot of sports, Tell me volleyball isn't that way. I mean, she either makes them that way or else I don't know if they survive, So that's just championship pedigree, not only just in football, but in just almost all of our sports here at Ferris State.
Thank you, Coach. That concludes our 2023 National Signing Day press conference. I'd like to thank the media who were on hand here today, the fans that tuned in around the world on the Bulldog Sports Network. Coach, big thanks to you, and I know thanks go out to your coaching staff for the work they put in as well.
Yeah, there's some guys that really have grinded it. Brian Rock is a grinder. He worked his tail off. Steve continues to do great in West Michigan, and we just keep on making strides to recruit great players and keep this university being a championship program.
Big thanks finally to our communication staff and our Ferris State administration for helping make this broadcast possible. A reminder, you can follow FerrisStateBulldogs.com for complete coverage of National Signing Day. Thanks again, and it's a great day to be a Bulldog.
Yes, it is. Go Dogs.
Thank you.